Okay, now let's understand why there has come a requirement to create something called a cloud. Okay, so why cloud? So to understand why there has come a requirement to create cloud, let's understand how a traditional way of approach used to work. Okay, I would like to give you an example of a simple file loading process. How a file gets loaded into a computer. So that is a simple example I would like to give to connect it to why there has come a requirement to cloud it, so that it will be easily understandable for you. Okay, so example one. So this is example one. I have two examples for you. So first example, easy example. Okay, how a file gets loaded into a laptop or desktop machine. This is a simple example anyone should be able to understand. So the reason I'm giving this example is to make you to make you connect to cloud. So yeah, let's go ahead. So how a simple file gets loaded into a laptop or a desktop machine. So let's consider an example. My file size is, let's say it says 2 MB. It's a small file. Okay, I have a file of 2 MB. Now let's understand how this file gets loaded into laptop. Okay, so before we dwell into it, let's understand my laptop configuration. So this is important to understand what is my laptop configured, how what is my CPU cores, what is my hard disk, what is my RAM. So these are the important components that I would be interested to look into this desktop machine configuration or laptop configuration. So let's understand. Okay, so let's say I have hard disk. Let's say I have hard disk of, let's say, 1 TB. Okay, and RAM is of 4 GB. Just an example. And compute, which we generally call it as CPU cores. Compute is CPU cores. Let's say I have a quad core. Quad core means 4 cores. Okay, so hard disk we have, RAM we have, compute. We have remaining components as well, like network card to connect to internet. You have a motherboard where all these components, hard disk, RAM, compute, everything gets connected. You have SMPU, right? You have power where power receiver, where where your motherboard gets power from. So SMPS. So I don't want to discuss more about it. Let's Important components are hard disk, RAM, and compute. Let me tell you why I have discussed these three things. So in order to load a file of 2 MB of size, so I want to store this file, isn't it? Without storing a file, I can't open this file in my laptop. So for storage, I am storing this file of 1 MB in my laptop, isn't it? So for this, I'm using hard disk. So this is where your file is getting stored. Okay. Now compute. What? Why compute? So if I double click on this file, it gets open. The file gets open. I can operate on that file. I can alter, update, delete something, anything. So in order to accept user input, like I'm double clicking on the file, that is a input, right? And I'm altering something, deleting something, updating something, that is an input I'm giving to my computer so that my compute accepts my input and acts upon that file. So for that you need a cpu, and this is already I've discussed. Yeah, compute is cpu cores here. And before you open, after you double click on the file, it gets opened. So it gets moved from hard disk to ram. Who will move from hard disk to ram? My cpu will move from storage, which is hard disk, to ram. Okay, why we have to move from hard disk to ram? If I move to ram, only then I can perform operations faster, right? So why we can't perform operations faster in hard disk? Because hard disk is designed in such a way that it is designed using magnetic disks. So the data we write into hard disk and the data we get from the hard disk is somewhat harder. It is quite time taking process. But RAM is designed in such a way that it takes the input faster and responds and gives the output faster. So any file or any application that you open in your laptop, it first brings to your ram, and then it will and then our cpu will, or our compute accepts interactions from user and acts upon the that particular file or application that which is inside ram. Hope you understood better. Okay, now you understood how a normal file is getting loaded in our machine, in our laptop or a desktop machine. Okay, so you have three components: storage, RAM, compute. Storage, yes, I'm storing my file in my laptop. And RAM, yes, as soon as I double click and open my file is bought from my hard disk to RAM, right? Why? Because it operates faster. Who did this all? My cpu has done this. It has bought from hard disk to ram so that a user can operate easily, perform some operations faster. Hope this is clear. Now let's say I want to load a 6 GB file. Now I've increased my file size. Okay, I want to load a 6 GB file. Now, what happens with this basic configuration, which I have bought my laptop? Can I load this file? 6 GB file? Yes, I can store in my hard disk of 1 TB. Yes, I can easily store it. What about as soon as I open the 6 GB file, it will be bought from my hard disk to RAM by my compute, which is CPU, right? So since my RAM is just 4 GB, do you think that file gets loaded and you can perform some operations? No, obviously no, because as soon as your file is bought from hard disk to RAM, since your RAM is just 4 GB, you cannot load a 6 GB file. Your laptop or your machine gets hang and you cannot operate anything, completely hang. You cannot operate any software. It's hang. You have to switch it off. Okay, so what I have to do? I have to upgrade my laptop configurations to, if I wanted to operate on 6 GB file. So let's say I'm increasing my configuration. Hard disk, let's say 1 TB, which is good. RAM I'm increasing to 8 GB so that I can load 6 GB file. Okay, okay, and CPU, let's say quad core is fine. So now, yes, since my what my CPU does is it will get this 6 GB file from my hard disk to RAM. It will load to RAM, and since my RAM is of 8 GB, it easily loads and you can perform operations. Now let's consider a scenario where I need to process a file of, let's say, 10 GB or 20 GB. 20 GB files, let's say every month, once in every month. So I wanted to process a file which is almost not possible with my RAM. That I want to process only monthly once. That is my requirement. Let's assume that is my requirement. So with this approach, do you think upgrading my laptop configurations to something, let's say hard disk is, let's say I'm upgrading to 2 TB, and then let's say 10, 20, maybe I can expect 30, 40 tomorrow. Let's say I want to upgrade to 64 GB, and I'm increasing my CPU cores, which is octa core, has 8 cores in it. Let's say that is a scenario. So do you think upgrading a laptop to process like 30, 40 GB files just once in a month, so hardly we will be processing 12 times in a year. Do you think this is a good approach, upgrading my laptop just to process 30 or 40 GB file, that to 12 times in a year? This is not a good approach, definitely not a good approach, right? So okay, this is not a good problem. I understand. Now let's understand. Let me bring me let's bring a good example. So instead of just file, you understood how a file gets loaded, and you understood if my file size is getting increased, I know I can't keep on increasing my configuration. Now this is just a basic example I gave. Now let's consider a good example. This time the example is building a website. I wanted to bring you a good example so that you understand more instead of just loading a file. Okay, now building a website. So, in order to build a website, what do we want? We want, let's say, a laptop with basic configuration. Let's say I have a basic configurations here. 8 GB. Let's say this one. Basic configurations I have. A laptop with basic configurations, which is hard disk is of 1 TB, RAM is of 4 GB. This, which is good. Now, as a developer, I start coding to build my website. So I code in, let's say, HTML or CSS. I mean GCSS, JavaScript, all these things I use, and then I start building my website, which is good. So in order to store my HTML, CSS, JavaScript files, I need to store it somewhere, right? So what do I use again? Hard disk. Now you understood, like in order to store the files, generally we use hard disk, obviously, right? So storing the required html HTML files, you want to store CSS files, you want to store JavaScript files, etc., right? Some other configurations that you want to store. And then of course you need a compute to CPU cores to okay, let me RAM. So after you store your file, and then what you do then, generally I mean you can load this website in a local host, right? So when you click on that local host, then your compute, which is your CPU, will bring all those files into RAM, right? In memory, in memory it will bring all your files to in memory. And then who will bring compute? CPU will bring all your files which is stored in hard disk to in memory. And then if you just say http colon double slash local host, something like that, you can start looking at your website. Whatever you have created your website, you can start looking at this now, which is good. So you have a laptop, and you started coding, and you can host your website. Now Let's consider I want to host this website globally, right? So let's say even I have all my required files, and even it should not be available not only in my laptop but across the globe. So what should I do? I have to configure my router, right? I have hosted my website in my laptop. I haven't hosted anywhere. I just hosted my website in my laptop. So, in order to access this website globally, I have to do some things like I have to configure my router. I have to mm, have IP address connected to right domain, right? And then I have to do some configuration so that it is actually you can actually go to this website anywhere, not only in my laptop. You can start accessing my website globally. Okay, so for that I have to do some configurations I have to do some configurations locally to my laptop so that it can be accessed globally, which can be done. This can be done. Now, can you see the problems that we face to access this website globally? Can you tell me few of the problems? First problem, what I think of is, what if, what if my laptop got shut down? Or let's say what if my laptop, um, let's say what if there is a power outage, right? So since there is no power outage for, let's say, so generally your laptop, you can without power you can stay for 7 8 hours. Let's say I have whole day power outage. Now can you access my website? No, you can't, because my laptop is shut down. Even if I configured all my router address, DNS, all the configurations that I've did, but even if you go to that www.sponsor.com, you can't access my website, because my website is hosted in my laptop. It is not hosted somewhere else, right? I have hosted my website in my laptop, and if my laptop should always keep running, that is a problem. Always laptop should be in running. Otherwise, you can't access my website. This is a huge problem. It's not only like, let's say, power outage. Let's say what if there is some natural calamities? What if there is some earthquake or something, right? You can't access the website. So these are few of the problems where you can't access your website. Hope you understood the problem. Okay, now I wanted to tell you a story about Amazon company. I'll tell you why I'm telling you this story. I just wanted to connect you to what is actually Amazon is doing. So hope you understood so far how a file is getting loaded. What is the problems if my file size is increasing, and if I'm hosting my website in my single laptop? I understood if it is if I want to access my website globally. Of course, there are few problems. I can't actually access my website globally, right? So I wanted to tell you a story about how Amazon has started their company and how it grew, and how actually there has come a requirement to create something called cloud. Okay, so Amazon, they started their company in 1994. So do you know what is the first thing they started? They have started e-commerce website. E-commerce website. You know what is e-commerce website? This is a website where you can where you can sell your products online. Okay, so first they have started e-commerce website to sell only books. So first they have started with books. So you know what they did? they have started creating. Obviously, you if the website wants to be accessed globally, they can't really host a website in a single laptop or a single machine. So they have started something called, they have started connecting group of machines. So when I say machine, you consider that as a laptop. Okay, just an example. So when I say machine, consider that as a laptop. What does a machine or a laptop has? It has few things, three things, basic things, which is hard disk, compute, RAM. Okay, let me remove this. Okay, so what they have, these Amazon people, what they have done is to host their website. It is, they know that okay, it's not possible to host a website in a single laptop. So they have connected a group of machines where hard disk, compute, RAM can be available. It's not only single machines. They have connected a group of machines in a network to host their website. Okay, so connecting group of machines, this is nothing but this led to a creation of something called data center. So when you connect a group of machines, we call it as a data center. Okay, so do you think that they have only a single data center? Obviously, no, because the data center should always be in running. Even if the power outages come, it has to still run. Even if there is some natural calamities, yes, of course, my data center should run. So I can't rely on a single data center. I have to create multiple data centers so that if even one data center goes down with some issue, the other data center still serves my website. You understood? Hope you understood why there has come a requirement to create something called data center. Now, having a data center, okay, let's having a data center, let's assume what all the things that a company has to do to create or to actually create a data center. What they have to do? They have to maintain the data center. They have to buy infrastructure, right? They have to buy all these things to, and then connect. They have to maintain the data center. When I say maintain, they have to interconnect all the machines and then make sure that if each and every machine is in running state, right? And what about updates? If there is any update to the any of the stuff, let's say there is an update to website or there is an update, they have to maintain or update the website, right? If there is any update, mm, they have to make sure that smooth update happens across the data centers. If I update one data center, that's not enough. I have to update all the data centers so that if I access my website, every time it shows the updated website, right? So these kinds of, there are multiple things, but I just noted down main things. But having a data center is not a easy thing. Only huge organizations have their own data centers. So then what about startup companies? What about startup companies? If they wanted to launch a website, is it they have to um, they have to buy the infrastructure upfront without right? They have to maintain the data center. They have to recruit some IT people to maintain the data center. Keep always running. There are many things that they want to do to have this data center. So this is the actual problem. What is the actual problem? Like companies who are very startup companies, they can't afford to create a data center. So what happened is, this is the actual problem that is addressed clearly by uh, you know how. So what happened is, as I told, so Amazon started selling their books online. So they have started an e-commerce website, which is good. Now, yes, they have connected group of machines. They have created several data centers, which is good. Now, what happened is, they have Amazon have added more products to their website. So they have added toys, they have added electronics, right? They have added some other clothes, they have added many things. So what happened? They what happened is, after adding these many products, there has come a huge requirement to create create big, or I would say large infrastructure. Yes, whatever they have, it's not it, it it is it is not enough. They have to create a huge infrastructure. So not only 2 3 data centers or 30 data centers, we don't know what is the actual count of the data centers, but yeah, there has come a huge requirement to create a large infrastructure. So they have started creating larger and larger data centers. What happened? So they observed they observed that few of few of them are unutilized or utilized. Not each and every mission is getting utilized. So they have observed that few of them are getting underutilized. So what they thought is, okay, instead of keeping the machines idle, let's offer that machines as a service so that they get business out of it, right? Instead of keeping the machines idle, now let's offer that ideal machines to someone who require that. And they started offering infrastructure as a service, which we generally called IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So this Amazon, so instead of keeping the machines idle, so they started offering infrastructure as a service to people who are in need. So this is how a cloud actually started. So any service in cloud, you take any service, you take AWS. In case of AWS, you take S3, right? This falls under storage. You take EC2. This falls under compute. You take something like Elastic Cache. Ash, this falls under in memory. In memory.